Hi there, this is Danny Flexen. Welcome you to this week's edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're out every Monday at 4:30 PM, rounding up the weekend just gone. If previews are more to your liking, we've got a Thursday show every Thursday at 4:30 PM, ReFLEXpectations, where we look ahead. Now, if you watch both, you'll know that I didn't quite predict the result accurately for the big fight this weekend. I expected Rocky Fielding to last into the 6th or 7th round in his audacious challenge to Canelo Alvarez out in New York City. Unfortunately, it was all said and done by the 3rd. Not quite a fairy tale of New York for poor Rocky, but in a way it was, I suppose, because he secured his family's future. He'll still have a decent status in the super middleweight division, and it was quite a short fight, so it's not like he took a prolonged beating. Canelo, for his part, has probably never looked as good. He dropped Fielding in the 1st, the 2nd, and then twice in the 3rd before the finish was called. Body shots proved pivotal. We always knew Canelo was a great body puncher, and with Fielding's long torso presented to him, I think he just couldn't resist. A lot of things were said in the build-up, trying to make a case for Fielding having a chance at least to go further in the fight or take it the distance. Things like, you know, he was so much taller and longer and bigger, and he was more accustomed to the weight, and he had a great trainer in Jamie Moore. Let me tell you, all those things were true. You know, Jamie Moore is a great trainer, Fielding is big for the weight. But none of it mattered. It all proved completely irrelevant because Canelo is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, certainly in the top 5. Fielding's not, to be clear. I mean, he's a good fighter, good domestic fighter, and probably a bit more than that. He beat Tyron Zeuger, that's a good win, out in Germany. We can't discount that. But there's levels and levels. You know, you've got belt holders like Zeuger, who Fielding unseated, and then you've got proper world champions, and then you've got elite fighters like Canelo. You know, Canelo's coming off those 2 really stirring fights with GGG, and it was kind of seen as, in America at least, as a bit of a gimme for him, a bit of a tune-up fight that he was owed after so many tough fights in a row. Interesting now, I guess, focused Fielding. Let's just give a quick word to him. Very brave showing, kept getting up from the knockdowns, can't take anything away from him. He'll be back at a lower level. I think he's still got a lot left in him. He's still young, he's still fresh. But let's look at Canelo. What's next for him? And I think that's where the interest lies. And you can leave your comments below telling us who you'd like to see Canelo fight next and why. GGG, is that still an option? Certainly if he ends up signing with DAZN, who Canelo's with now, the 3rd fight becomes a much more intriguing, much more realistic possibility. But if it's not GGG again, who would it be? One of the Charlo brothers perhaps? They're making a lot of noise, both literally and metaphorically. If it's not them, if it's not GGG, do we expect him to stay at super middleweight? I know there was a good win for Zurdo Ramirez, who's the WBO super middleweight champion, another Mexican. That'd be an interesting Mexican derby. Zurdo's with Top Rank, of course. He beat Jesse Hart in their rematch, another tight victory for him. Could that be a goer at super middleweight for Rocky? We're assuming, sorry, for Canelo. Slip of the tongue there because I was so hoping he was going to win. Could that be a goer for Canelo? If not, you know, do we see Canelo staying at 168 to fight the genuine best fighters at that weight? Guys like Callum Smith, George Groves, James DeGale. I think it's very unlikely. I don't think the win over Rocky Fielding, as impressive as it was, will give Canelo enough confidence to want to stay up at 168 as a permanent thing. Drops back down, like we said, the Charlos. Danny Jacobs, obviously a DAZN fighter like Canelo. He's got a belt at middleweight. That could be an intriguing fight. He gave GGG all he could handle, of course, Jacobs, not too long ago. I think that's maybe the most likely next option for Canelo. But again, tell us in your comments below who you'd like to see Canelo fight next and why. One other thing I should mention, it's not been the best of weekends for British fighters against foreign opposition, not just in New York, but back home too. Bradley Skeet fell to a shock 2-round dismissal, his second, in fact, 2-round dismissal in his last 3 fights. Big left hook, sending him all at sea, and the referee decided to rule him out at the Brentwood show at the weekend. We hope he comes back stronger. Shot would have taken most people out, although it was a bit of an anomaly in that his opponent had 16 previous wins, but only 4 had come inside the distance. So a knockout victory for his opponent seemed one of the least likely outcomes in that fight. Well done to him, of course, but we hope Bradley Skeet comes back as well as he can. And not only that, big heavyweight Nick Webb fell victim to one of the better journeymen operating on the UK scene, Kamil Sokolovsky, who scored a inside the schedule win. And not his first upset win on British soil. I think heavyweights need to think twice before they go with Sokolovsky going forward. I need to think twice before I try and pronounce his name going forward, but that's another story. Thank you for watching. We want you to come back next week, every Monday, 4:30 PM, ReFLEXions. But if you want to look ahead, there's 2 massive weekends, not 2 massive weekends, sorry, to get your hopes up, there's only 1 weekend. There's two massive boxing shows this coming weekend, the Frank Warren show and the Matchroom show, both on the Saturday. It's a shame they clash, but we'll be previewing both of them. We're not sure yet whether we're going to do one FLEXpectations this week or two, one for each show. But either way, they'll both be out, if there are two, at 4:30 PM this Thursday, so join us for that as well. But until then, leave your comments below. What do you think of our great set here in my front room? Hopefully we're going to improve it soon, although I feel like I've been saying that for months now. But tell us more about who you'd like to see Canelo fight next and why. And we'll see you for next week's Reflections, Christmas Reflections, I guess. Maybe we'll have some New Year's resolutions thrown in. Next Monday, 4:30 PM. Thank you.